People don't search anymore, not the way they used to. They ask AI. AI SEO market will reach $7.3 billion. That's where brands hypercharge their AI visibility. Introducing Mention Network. Real-time data from real prompts by real humans. Pick a prompt you want to run. We'll handle the rest. Fast, smart, and in real time. Using the best AI models. Get rewards for your prompt. Help brands control their AI. Retweet and comment AI. I will send you a link for your AI visibility. Be part of something great. Join now. Mention Network.
Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I really hope you've been enjoying my content so far. If you do, kindly let me know. And of course, in this video, I'm going to be doing project breakdown to the video you just watched right now. I really hope that was exciting for you to watch, and I really also hope that watching this project breakdown will be more even exciting for you. So make sure you do stay tuned, watch every detail, and make sure you watch to the end because there's some little bit of tips that I showed in this one that I've not showed before in any of my videos. So make sure you watch to the end, right? And aside from that, if for those that are still in doubt about my YouTube channel, if you subscribe and then turn off your real notification, this video I'll be playing now will be the next project breakdown I'll be doing. So make sure you watch it now.
What if every new customer didn't just buy once, but became loyal member? Meet Subscribify, a Shopify app that powers membership models that boost customer lifetime value and bring predictable revenue. We help Shopify brands launch paid memberships that turn shoppers into loyal VIPs. Store credit, perks, exclusives, all managed inside your Shopify store. Members' lifetime value is at least 115% higher after 12 months. Membership fees become predictable, monthly recurring cash flow. Behind the scenes, your AI co-pilot analyzes performance, predicts churn, and uncovers growth opportunities. Great memberships aren't plug and play. They're systems custom built for your brand and audience. Our team helps you design, launch, and optimize every detail, from pricing strategy to member experience. Top Shopify Plus brands like Dossier, Ana Luisa, and Pear Eyewear already run on Subscribify. Now it's your turn to build a membership program that will transform your business.
So make sure you subscribe so that I can get real-time notification when I drop this video. Without taking so much of your time, let's get into it. But of course, if you are new to my channel, make sure you do subscribe. And if you do learn anything from this, make sure you click on the like icon, drop a comment. I'm trying to hit 5,000 subscribers before the end of the year. If you can help me achieve that, I will so much appreciate it. The project file is in the link in the description. If you're interested in it, make sure you do get it. If you get it, you'll be supporting me. All right, let's get into the tutorial now. All right, so let's get started. So I'm going to start with the background, this first scene. This is the entire scene here. You can see that they have their own composition. So I'm just going to start with this first scene. And if I scroll down, I have this text. So let's just break it down. So I'm going to solo the background, which is just a normal solid background. And then I have this, and I have this. So let me show you how I get to achieve this sort of background first. This is a composition I've used in the past. And I was able to bring this in using a Park Manager. And if you guys are not familiar with it, if you have access to it, there's some really free version of what you can have access to, which is really good. But if you get the paid one, you have another pack called My Pack. So let me just quickly search for it. So with My Pack, you can actually store up animations you've done in the past that you most likely reuse in the future, like transitions, some elements. So these are some of the ones that I've saved, and basically what I do is to just bring them in. So for this particular thing here that I used, I've actually done this before. I did this animation in the past, and I know that it's something that I'm probably going to reuse, and I thank God I did. So this is it here. So all I did was to just import it from my pack, and then I brought it into the scene. Guys, check the description for you to have access to Aegis Pack, and then you can use the free version. And if you are really interested, you can go ahead and get the paid some of the paid packs, right? Like I've showed you here, these are the paid ones, but then these are like the free ones, a lot of packs. So you even have access to AI voiceover, caption, among other things. Guys, check it out. Check the link in the description. So that's how I was able to bring this asset in. And of course, if you want to know how I get to achieve this, if I double click this and open this up a little bit. So basically what I did was, so let me uncheck this. If I open this up, this is just a normal ellipse with repeater. So if I zoom in a lot, so this is just a normal ellipse. And basically what I did was just to animate the ellipse, and it was just a simple scale animation with overshoot. So and then applied motion tools elastic to it, and this is what I was able to get. But then I now added repeater, so I repeat it to the left, no sorry, to the right, and also repeat it down, right? So if I play this now, this is what I have, right? Everything is animating at the same time. And basically what I did here in this other part of this, just to reverse it to animate in, animate out, right? That's basically what I did. Of course, still using some overshoot and elastic animation here. But what I made it really interesting was I now use time displacement. So let me just name this time displacement, right? For me to be able to achieve this, I needed to create a map for the time displacement, and which is what I have under here. So if I click this, you can see that this is just a normal gradient, right? Normal gradient fading from white to black. These are the map is done, and I just pre-comp it, and then of course I don't need to reveal it because it's a map. So I added time displacement map, then I changed my map to this, and then with that it will automatically do the animation based on the Luma information that is getting from the map. So you can see that the bright side is starting from the center, and that's exactly what's going on. So the animation is going to start from the center. Instead of it starting from the angle or starting from everywhere, it's actually going to start based on the Luma values of the map. So that's how I get to achieve this, and then the reverse animation. So of course I still did a little bit of tweaking for me to be able to get it. I added my color, I added simple choker. So if I uncheck deep glow, uncheck simple choker, so can you see with this it's very obvious. But when I added simple choker just to shrink it a little bit, I was able to get something like this, and then I also added deep glow to give me this. So that's how I was able to achieve this burst, right? And again, I make sure that it's not, I cut it to the point where I really needed it, and that's how I was able to achieve that. Then the stars, this is actually very subtle. If you can see it, can you see that the stars are just going, this is just going in, and that's just simple CC starburst. With this, you will achieve this really easy, really simple. Tweak the settings as I did here, and you achieve that. So that's how I was able to achieve all of this. But now the text, so the text here, like it's almost as if it's coming from Z space. It's not Z space, it's actually just scale animation. For if I press U, so if you notice that it's just scale animation, and then of course I still added some positioning. Okay, first of all, let me deactivate this so that this can run smoothly. So this is the animation here, this is the full animation here. So I also added a animator, flicker in the text basically, and you can easily do that with the opacity animator, or basically you can just use, I think there's a preset called flicker, or I think I made a preset flicker in. If you guys are interested in this preset or some of my preset that I've done, just let me know in the comment section, and then I'll make it available. So but basically this is what you will get, just flicker in the text, and then this is how it looks like originally. But then I added something called cartoon mobler. Think of Echo, but this time around Echo with a lot more control. So it's basically Echo, but now I cannot change the repetition. I can change the color, and that's basically what I did here. And I also animated the way I want it to be. So that's what is giving this really nice shade, blue shade. And of course, on top of this, I also added optic compensation. So that's what is giving it that warp look at the beginning. So if I play this, can you see that warp? So it's the optic compensation that is responsible for that. So if I uncheck this now, this is how it looks like, but with this is how it looks like. So it makes it look more interesting, right? And then of course I did a little bit of anticipate and overshoot the next scene. So animate to the side to introduce the next text. And then here, this is where I introduce the next text. Simple position animation, and if I press U, just simple position animation here. And of course doing a little bit of overshoots and anticipation, right? If you want to see my graph curve, the way I did my curve, this is it, right? Making sure that at the end I'm having my match cuts at the end there. Of course, and at this point I change the background, and you can see I have this white background. So this is why I switch the background. I can name this white BG. So this is why I change the background from dark to the white one. Of course, I have this gradient thing underneath, right? If I solo this, you can see this gradient thing here. Just the same way I actually brought this in from the AE pack, because I've done this before in the past. If I uncheck these two things, these two adjustment layer, basically they are just basic shapes, 3D, and I attach null to them, and then I'm rotating them in z-axis, and then of course added transform to scale in a little bit, and then added fast box blow, and that's how I was able to achieve this gradient. So if I uncheck this, and that is what you will see here. And then moving on to the next thing, so this is where I now introduce the search. I actually like this particular scene a lot. So let us break it down. So I'll first of all start with the background shape. This is the major background shape. It's just simple rectangle, rounded rectangle, right? But if you notice, we have a little bit of lighting depth here. That's because I added layer styles, which is bevel and emboss. So without bevel and emboss, it looks really flat. It looks really flat. With bevel and emboss, it gives me that depth. That's how I was able to achieve this. And of course, I added light. So this light is very much the same thing I did in my previous video. So if I uncheck this, so I duplicated the shape, and then I added, so let me uncheck these two effects. So this is the shape, right? Now in white color. So I added CC light sweep, and I make sure that it is on cutout, so it will cut the entire thing out. And I also change the color, then tweak some of the settings here. And of course, I animated the direction because I needed to re-emphasize, do a little bit of follow through to my next scene, which kind of like, makes sense. And of course, I added deep glow. So that's how I was able to do the scene here. So this is just an alpha matte, just making sure that it's not going outside where I want it to be. And of course, what I have here is just the text and the icons. Pretty straightforward, and just simple position animation with that. That's how I was able to achieve this. I added all of this, right? All these layers to the null. So just that same positioning to reinforcing that position. And then if you see this really glitchy thing going on here, is this grunge thing that I have here. So this, I didn't make it from scratch, and it's actually one of those packs that I have that I feel like can really make my work really easier and faster. I can redo it if I want to, but why do I want to do that if I can easily get that? So let me just quickly show you that. So I'm an advocate for do things that will make your job really easy. So I got this from Atom presets. Yes, so this is it. And for this, these are just even the free packs. I didn't buy this, I just downloaded it, and it really has some really cool transition glitch. I barely use most of these things, but the ones that I really use, I use them. So the one that I use is this, I believe is from Glitch. So let me see. Yes, so this is the one that I use. So I just click apply, and then it adds to my scene. There's some really cool stuff here too as well, but that's the one I actually use. So I just brought this in, and just, of course I still tweak it, make sure that it makes sense with my scene. Just a couple of frames, just give it that glitch, and makes it look interesting. And at the end of the day, I parent all of this together, then did some anticipation. One more thing, to this search, the underneath, I needed to create a blue halo kind of thing. So I duplicated the shape. This is the main shape here, and I duplicated this so that it can give me that blue halo. So I just needed to show you guys that. So that's why it's looking more interesting. Combine that with the stars, so it's making the scene looks really great. And of course, the text, I also added deep glow to it a little bit, tweak the settings as well so that I can see the contrast. And of course, I just use this is my null. Can you see this scaling it to introduce my next scene, so which is practically text, just the exact same way I did this. That's the same text that you have here basically, and of course have the particles bursting at the background. So that is scene one. So let's move on to the next scene, which is just this really simple stuff. So let me open this up. This is actually quite straightforward. You guys know about the background already. Let's load this. So these are just basic shape. I created them in Illustrator. No, you can actually achieve this in After Effects, but it was easier for me to just have this sharp edge with the rest rounded in Illustrator, and then I brought them in. By default, this is what I have. So if I check the animation, it's just simple position animation. So I use the elastic thing here just to have that overshoot thing again here, and of course animated the opacity as it's going out. Parent everything to this null so I can show, you can just reveal where I want it to be as it's going on. So this one is responsible for taking everything up, while all of this has its own position and opacity animation. And if I show you the graph, so you can see this is the tight graph, so it's looking very snappy, right? If you guys notice, the animation is very snappy animation, so I needed to make sure my graph looked that way. And of course the rest is just, you know, overlay with text and moving alongside with it. And what gives it that cool effect is this distortion. I use Borge, so with Borge, it gives me this distortion, right, and makes it look more interesting. I tried to experiment with CC lens, but it doesn't give me what I want, so I ended up using Borge. So let me just delete that. That's it for scene 2. Then scene 3, if I open this up, it's just simple text animation basically. And what I have here is, let's solo this, the stars. Of course the stars, I think I have the stars throughout the scene. Then this is the AI here, so this is the background. This is what I have here. So I was experimenting with optic composition, but it's no more there. So let's see what we have here. So this is the background here. So by double click this is what I have. This is a pre-comp, and if I uncheck CC repeater, it's actually a simple pre-comp, text pre-comp. Can you see? But now go back and I added CC repeater. CC repeater, I repeated it all throughout the frame here, and then of course pre-comp it again, and then I brought it here and I marked the center out because that's where the main text will be. I added transform, that's the first thing I added. Then I added color that I wanted it to be, and I added a little bit of deep glow just to give it a little bit more contrast to it. So if I press U, there's nothing, I didn't do any form of animation here. So that's how I was able to achieve the background, right? So this is the AI text. It's just simple flickering animation, and of course I added cartoon mobile as well, but the cartoon mobile didn't really do much here actually, maybe until when it snaps back. And what else? Yeah, all of this were not used, so let me just delete this. And then of course I added optic composition, so that's what was responsible for, you know, the distortion, right? And then of course I also, you know, as I animate the distortion, I also make sure that it's animate the distortion in a way that all of that are now off the frame, distorting the text as well, and then moving on to the next. So if you check this out now, you can see that it's match cut to the next scene, right? Maybe apart from this, so it's match cut to the next scene. So and let's move on to the next scene. And so this is where I have this AI SEO graph. And if you guys notice, it's all of these are in focus. Then when I introduce this, I put this in focus instead because I was trying to lead the eye to where I want you to look at and focus on, and still tell the story or pass across the information very well. Yeah, so let me uncheck this. All of these are actually in 3D. Or let me say most of it, all of this text, they're in 3D, and I was just animating the camera basically. So if I press U, this is me panning to the left, panning to the top, then introducing the rest of the scene. And if I can even show you more, so this is the top view. You can see that I've actually arranged all of this in Z space. So this is the AI, this is the SEO reach, and then the graph is actually the one in front, right? And I was able to put all of that in focus. So that's how I was able to achieve this. Just in case you need more clarity on this, I would advise you get the project file so that you'll be able to see exactly what I did here. But I think basically that's what I did, right? And at the end of it all, I animate the camera to go up to cut to the next scene. And then this is what I have, and this is just simple text positioning basically. If I press U and I press check the graph editor, can you see it's just simple positioning? And then of course I parent all of this to a null, which is this null, so that it as it animates up, this moves the entire thing to the side. And it has a little bit of some depth thing going on here. That's because I mask, and this is very similar to what I did in the last video too as well. So I did some masking and feather it out. That's why it's giving me that. Yeah, you can see the star behind this as well. You can see this as well. You know, the burst animation. So you can see the burst animation behind, and then I have this supercharge. So this particular one, this is another element that I got from one of the pack. It's something that I can do, but it's going to take so much time. So if I have like something that I've already done it before, so why not use it? So this one is from RTX. I've had this the longest time actually, and they have some really good cartoon. So this is it. So these are some of the elements. They have some really nice stuff: electric, water, drop, all sort of burst thing. Really interesting. So this is where I was able to bring in the element for that, and I just brought that in and I just overlay with the text. I didn't have to do all of this from scratch. If I can do it, but it would have tanked my time really seriously. So they did a little bit of some scale in at the end here to cut to this next scene. Yeah, this scene is one of the most interesting scenes. So if I open this up and just show this, and let's start from the main. So this is the main text here. This is just the text here. So I pre-comp it, and then I have this, and then followed by this shape that I used to cover it up because I needed it to hide, and then reveal this, and needed another one that will reveal the main one that will reveal itself. Then of course added more as well. So just simple positioning animation, basically added another shape to cover that one up as well, so that it can reveal the one on top. So this is what I have, and another one here as well. So this is a small one that's covering it up, and then I added an adjustment layer. So this adjustment layer has, these were the ones I was experimenting with. So it has bulge, and I actually animated the bulge. So let me just name this bulge, and I have the main text at the middle, and at the end of the day I still have another adjustment layer. I think this is another bulge too as well. So this is another bulge. So these are the ones I was experimenting with. I'll just delete them, and then this is what was able to give me the entire thing. Really interesting stuff, right? With the tweak, the bulge, the height, and everything, you would definitely be able to achieve this. So this is how I was able to achieve this. Like I said, if you want to see how it's really done, you can get the project files. So, and then of course I added this thing on top as well. I'll show you how I get to achieve this already. So let's move to the next scene. So this next scene, and I have the introduced text. So let me zoom in a little bit, and if I zoom in to this, let me change this to quarter so that it can really move fast, right? So this is what I have. The reason why it's dragging is because the text has that effect, cartoon mode blur. It's a little bit intensive on the system, but it works, right? So I showed you guys how I get to achieve this already. I think for this I just use positioning in this z-axis to just bring it in, and then I brought the 3D logo in too as well. So yeah, so if I double click this, so this is the 3D logo. I actually did this in Cinema 4D. I animated all of this in Cinema 4D, and I was able to recreate the logo and animate it and recreate the logo in Cinema 4D. That's how I was able to achieve this. So let me quickly show you guys in Cinema 4D. Alright, so this is Cinema 4D, and this is how I was able to animate it. So first of all, let me separate this. So I'll start with so this is the L logo. So let me solo one. Basically, how I get to achieve this was I brought this in from Illustrator. So I redrew this in Illustrator, and then I just saved this, and then I imported into Cinema 4D, and I now reposition it and add my texture to it, right? So let me quickly show you guys how I get to really achieve that. So this is my logo here, right? I'm just going to drag this in and then drop, and then this is what I have right from the Illustrator, and then I can just click this and then increase the extrude. So I increase the extrusion to the way that I would really want it to be, and you can see I have some extrusion, and then I click on hierarchy, then drag this out of the parent here, and of course now change the color. Basically I created a new material, make sure that it's luminance, and then use the color that I really want to use. So, and by now apply to this, it's actually going to apply to everything. So the simple solution was to first of all change this to editable first, and now that it's like this, I can now switch to the sides selection here, and I can highlight the part that I want to add color to, and I can just do this. Right, so this side has a color. I can duplicate this, change this to another color. For instance, if I want this to be yellow, I can change this here, highlight this part, or let's say this part, change this to the yellow. And that was how I was able to, achieve this, right? But in this case, I just make sure that it's the brown color, and I duplicated it and rearrange them the way I want it to be, of course making sure that it's facing the camera. So that's how I was able to achieve this. So let's get back to After Effects. All right, so that's how I was able to achieve the logo, and then just bring all of this in. Yes, bring all of this in and have that splash. Let me show you how I was able to achieve that. So yeah, so this is responsible for the bust at the back. Right, basically it's just simple scale animation basically, and with opacity animated as well, and of course introduce my boss and then introduce the text, the logo text into this. So knowing fully well my next scene, I make sure that I had this shape layer here, just animate it up. And the reason why it's not revealing anything or showing the transparency video, because I changed this to silhouettes alpha. So you change the blend mode, so these are normal blend mode, but now I change this one to silhouette alpha, and then it's basically just going to make sure that nothing is revealing within it. So you can see this is the shape here, and waiting it up and clearing all the details, right? And that's because of the next scene that I have here. You can see this is introducing this next scene here. As you can see, I have this position to reinforce that animation, and this is just simple scale, position, overshoot and anticipation, and of course using the anticipation and overshoot to introduce some of the other text. And I make sure that I added this scale animation to just zoom in and out so that it does not look static. That's how I was able to achieve this. So let's keep going, and then I introduce this next thing. Okay, so this next thing, I now have the extension showcase. So from here, this is just basic 3D animation. You guys know the background already, but I have this lighting going around this. So let me solo this so that we can know what's going on here. Change this to black. So yeah, so this is the composition, right? The entire composition here, and it's just simple position, rotation, in y-axis, in x-axis animation. But I want to show you how I get to achieve the light around the edge here, and I think it's actually in the composition. So basically this particular extension, the extension here, it's actually video recorded, and basically all I did was just cut the part that I need for the video, and of course the CC light sweep. You guys understand how I get to achieve this already. I've showed you guys, and just apply CC light sweep, then deep glow, and then animate the direction. That's what is going on, and I make sure that the direction is going in a place where I want it to be at the frame in the main composition. So that's how I was able to achieve this. This is just zooming in, zooming out, scaling in into the composition basically. All right, these are my ease that I use, and of course I was able to now introduce other things here, right? So this is the other part of the extension, and then just zoom back out, right? So this zooming back out was preparation for the next scene. And if I go back, cut straight to this particular scene here. So if I play this, you notice that this just zooms in smoothly to using, right? So this is just simple Z position animation for this, and then I have all of this. I've showed you guys in the previous video how I parent all of this and simple position animation to this already. And the background, so the background here is a little bit different, and that's because if I solo this, so this is the start, this is the background, and this is the light here, and this is the light on top. How did I get to achieve this? It's just basically solid with the color here, and I apply mask, and then I feather it a lot. So without the mask, this is what I have. With the mask, and feathering it a lot, and that's how I was able to achieve the background here. Very similar to the previous video that I did. There's some similarities in this video and that video, so which is really good, at least for you guys. You guys will understand how these things are being used and to just reinforce some things you've learned. So, and these are just simple line with dashes, basically line with dashes, just zooming in. Of course, I have a camera, so I animated the zoom in for this, and it's only affecting those things in 3D, which is the line and of course the logos, basically scaling them into the frame, basically. So if I go to the 2 frame, you guys will see how all of these are being distributed in this space, right? So these are some of the lines. You can see that some are farther, some are closer. So that's how it that was done. And then I just zoom back out again in anticipation for the next scene, and of course I'm making sure that this animation is also sliding to the side too as well, so to introduce me to the next scene, which is this one here. If I double click this, so just animated all this one at a time. I use text exploder, so that helps me separate all my text in different, in separate layers, and it's very easy for me to do this, right, when I have them separated. And then for this particular one here, when we have this line going up, so if I double click this is what I have. These are just simple text. So basically I wrote this. Can you see that the composition is actually quite long? Basically what I did was to click, hold this down, then type. So basically vertical text. So that's how I was able to achieve this. I literally just typed anything that crossed my hands or something like that. So that's how I was able to achieve this. And of course did some position animation as well, right, just to drag them down, reinforcing the movement. You can see that this composition is actually quite long, right? So let me see, it's about 3,700 to about 3,000 portraits. And then if I take this back, apply some effect. Let me solo this so that you guys can see what's going on here. So let me see. Yeah, great. So I'll start with the Bezier, right? So this is it normally. So with the Bezier warp, so this enabled me to adjust the handles, right? So this is the handles here. So basically I just did this, put them in perspective the way I want it to be. So that is what is responsible for that. And I added offsets. I think this offset was just to make sure that it keeps going. Let me see, is it animated? Yes, it's animated. So this offset just keeps animating it up, right? And I added linear wipe. So this linear wipe is responsible for wiping it right from the beginning. So if I open this up, you can see that it's the transition is from down up. It's just wipe it up, so it's looking like it's moving up, and then it's also wiping it up as well. But without the linear wipe, it's actually going to be there like that. So that's what that is doing. Now of course I added my color, and of course I added my deep glow, right, and that's what gives me this. And of course at this point I needed to bring it down, so I animated the position animation just to drag it down to now reveal other element that I have here, which is just the logos, which are just the logos that I have. So really interesting. And this too was animated down as well. So that's how I was able to achieve this scene. And then this other scene too was done. Hold on, I think I have some other thing here that I need to touch on. Yes, so I have the matte. Yes, so I did the matte thing again here just to wipe it down. So if I check this, so this is what the matte thing is doing, just like I did in the previous frame. Yeah, and that introduced me to what is underneath the layer, which is this particular point. So this is actually the element, right? This was their like Figma files. This is what one of the things they really wanted to highlight. And basically this is just position animation, basically just zooming in, having those numbers count up in each of the elements. So nothing serious with that. Then match cut to this. So one thing I would say on how to achieve something like this is, if you want to do something with social media, you have 2 options, because I needed to do something with Twitter. You have 2 options. You can either go to Twitter itself, take some snapshots, then animate, or, which I think is a better option, it might take a little bit of time, but it's a better option because you have high quality, is when you go explore Figma community assets. So let me quickly show you that. All right, so this Figma. So one thing you can actually do, you go to the community, and then you can now search something like X feed or post or something like that. So, and then you can look for similar UI, right? So this is for Facebook, or let me do Twitter. right? Okay, great. So this is actually Twitter and this is the X. So these are some of the clones. So if I click on, let me pick this for instance. So now you can see all this asset here. If I click on open in Figma, now with this, if I zoom in, you can now take any of these elements, high quality, and you can just import all of this into your After Effects and then do some edits and you're good to go. So this is one way of doing it. And basically these are just simple position animation with the mouse clicks, and that's how I was able to achieve this. And then to the last scene, yes, to the last scene is just simple position animation again and introduce the logo once again. And that's it pretty much, right? On the adjustment layer here, I added noise because there were a lot of gradients. So I added a little bit of noise, right, to blend all the colors, most especially in the dark areas here. And of course, I also made sure that I'm using 16 color depth, so that would also give me color accuracy. So that's how I was being able to achieve it. Don't forget, you can check the description for the project brief files to get to understand more things. Yeah, that's it.
I really do hope you do enjoy that. If you do, kindly let me know in the comment section. Like, just drop a comment, right, to really help the algorithm, right? And I really appreciate that. And of course, I've showed you guys the next video I'll be working on. If you do subscribe and turn up the notification bell icon, you will get real-time updates from me. For now, make sure you stay tuned to one of the videos YouTube is suggesting to you, and see you in the next video. Take care.